All right, so we are recording this session now. I do post it on YouTube, as you know. And just to remind you, the only people that have access to this video are people with the link that I provide in the content area. So it's unless one of your fellow students shares that link with someone else, only the people in this class will actually be able to see it. But in the event that you're uncomfortable with your voice being recorded and posted on YouTube, then simply use the chat box, and I'll try to address your question through the chat box. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So today, what I would like to do is go over putting a roof on your house. So there are three components that we're going to put in today. One is the actual roof, and it's composed of, we'll duplicate an existing roof and we'll make a new one. And we're going to add two materials to that. It's going to be asphalt shingles, unless you want to use a cedar shake or something like that. That's available too in Revit. And that will be set on top of a 3/4 inch plywood sheathing. And so that's one of the materials. The other material that we're going to put in is it's called the fascia board. And that's basically a 1x8 or 1x10 or 1x12 piece of lumber vertically. This is what if you have gutters, that's what the gutter would be attached to. We always overlap the roof over the fascia board so that in the event that there's any kind of moisture, and of course you know that we're going to get rainwater coming down the roof like that, it's going to come to here, and water does not go uphill. So it can't go back up this way, it will simply drip down in this direction. There's also, which we're not going to put in, but there is something called a drip edge. And that's a metal piece that goes on the plywood, and it comes down and it comes across, and it creates a bridge also, but it keeps to keep the water out. But for our purposes of this class, we're going to do something like this. We're going to have a roof. You get to decide what slope you want to have on that roof, and I'll explain how to do that in the demonstration. And then we're going to put in a fascia board. And the fascia board is, as I said, it's not flush with the roof. It's about 1.5 inches back. So when we go to put in our fascia board in the constraints, when you look at the constraints, the horizontal profile offset is going to be minus 1.5 inches. So this would be the point that we're telling Revit to put the fascia in, but then we're saying go back 1.5 inches. And the distance is from the face of the roof over to the backside of that, and it can be 1.5 inches. You could make it a little bit less if you wanted to, but you definitely don't want it to be flush. That's a very bad detail, which will cause, if this fascia were flush with that, there would be a joint right here, and the water would come down and go across that joint and then be back inside of your, what we call this the overhang. This is the overhang. We generally don't make the roof flush with the existing wall. And then the third component that we'll be putting in today in the demonstration is the soffit. And that's simply a horizontal piece of plywood that goes from the fascia board back towards the house. And those are three things that Revit allows us to put in, and has some, I'm trying to think of what the right word would be. It has the capabilities of indicating those things, those three components on our plan. So let's go to the, so while I was waiting for the class office hour for anybody to come in, I made a roof, and this is where we're going to head to today. So basically what the roof needs to have is, this is the, you can see the fascia board now. This is the shingles, this is the plywood sheathing, this is the fascia board. You can't see the soffit because we're looking at it from above. But another advantage using the rendering features from Autodesk is that I can take a look at that and say, well, I can see where there's some problems on my roof or on my model, and I need to address it. So for example, I'm going to erase the entire roof and do it again, but you can see that I have an issue here where the roof comes up and it's not meeting the other roof. So that would be a horrible detail if this were actually constructed this way, because the water would be able to get in. And also when I look over here, the objective of the roof is to get the water away from the house. But if you take a look at this roof right here, it's sloping down and it would put the water right up against this wall right here. So I would also need to put something in there, which we call it a saddle. So something that actually slopes away this way, that sits on top of here, but slopes in this direction and allows the water to run away from the house. Because that's what we're trying to do with the roof, is get the water away from the house and protect the inside of the house from the elements. But if you also look over here, notice I have that same situation, and I haven't addressed that yet, but I would have to. And you can see that the water is going to run down this way and it's going to hit this wall. So I would want to put something, another, what we call a saddle in there, that would push the water this way and push the water that way. So there are some issues here, but additionally, it helped me to see, for example, right here, look at this wall. That wall is the wrong kind of exterior wall. So aside from just helping me to see how my house is looking, it's also helping me to see, well, I haven't fixed this wall. This wall should be an exterior wall, and it looks like it's got gypsum board on the outside, which is not correct. So I would have to go back in and fix that. But the renderings, aside from just being able to take a look at what you're doing and let the servers, the Amazon servers, which Autodesk rents, let those servers make the model just to see what you have going on. Because we make assumptions all the time, like right here, look at this. This wall is incorrect. I have cedar shakes all the way down here. Somehow that was a mistake. And I didn't notice it when I was working on the plans, but it certainly is obvious in the renderings. And so now I know that I have to go back in and fix that. So some of the things that are useful that we haven't done yet are to make some additional levels. So if we go back to that section again, where is that? Let's see. Yeah, if we go back to that section, I've added some more levels into the section, into the model, so that I can tell it where various things are. And I made a level here, which is called top of the second floor windows, because I know essentially I know where the top of the windows are going to be. So I put in a level there, and if I measure, it's 6'10". Generally, it's 1'2" below the ceiling line in standard construction. So I know that that level is going to be 6'10" above the second floor. And that's this level right here. And so I'm going to suggest that we put in some more levels, and we'll go through that in just a second. Also, I have a level here. I put a new level in, which is what? The bottom of the fascia. So I have a level of the bottom of the fascia. And then I have a level here, which is called top of the fascia, which I'm going to use as the level where my roof sits on. So that's going to be the elevation of my roof. It's going to be the top of the fascia. So the fascia board can be 1 foot, 1 inch by, usually it's 6, 8, 10, or 12 inches in depth this way. I'm using 8-inch fascia here. And so this is a plywood soffit. And so what are some of the dimensions here? Well, actually, the face of the inside face of the fascia board is only 10.5 inches, because remember we said that this distance from here back to here is 1 foot, and we offset this fascia from the edge of the roof by 1.5 inches. So the inside face of the fascia is only going to be 10.5 inches. inches away from your face of the wall there. And that's important because when you put in the soffit, which is this component, you're going to tell Revit in the plan how far it's an extrusion. Essentially, you build a profile, and that profile has to be a certain distance. One of the magenta lines that you're going to draw is this edge of your soffit. And in my case, it's 10.5 inches. So I know that, okay? So what else do we want to look at? So that's back 1.5 inches. This dimension is, what is this? 0, this is, okay. So also, again, we don't put the soffit flush with the bottom of the fascia board because again, when the water comes down, it will come down and it may go across, but it can't go back up. So I put this about 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the fascia. So that's another drip. So the water comes down, it either drops here or it comes back to here and then it drops, but it cannot go back up. So we don't get that water going back up and hitting this joint right here, which we don't want. We never want water to hit the joint of any of these kind of materials because it'll suck up the water. The water will weep into it and cause deterioration here. This is a hardwood, so well, not necessarily. It could be a softwood, but the water is not going to sit here. It could, if the water went uphill and it sat right here, then it would. This is a plywood, which is many layers of very thin veneer lumber, and it would get in between those layers and it would deteriorate this, and it would warp or it would fail completely or cup, but it would be a bad detail. So this is what we're trying to do today. So if we go to, first of all, we want to go and we want to make some new, let's see here. Okay. I want to make some new levels here. So that's not a good one. Let's see. I made a, now you may have different, here we go. You may have different levels, okay, for your, as far as the actual dimension of your levels are. So the first thing I would ask you to do is we'll go to the first floor wall and we'll see what the distance is from the first floor wall to the top of the first floor wall. So we put a dimension in there. First floor, this is the first floor, and then I'm going up to the top of the first floor, and it's, in this case, it's 10 foot 5/8. So if I said it was 10 feet, and to make the math easy, then I would subtract 1'10" or 1'2" from that. So the top of my first floor windows, I think this is the first floor wall here, maybe. Let's see. We can hover over the level and just see. Top of the first floor wall is right here. So the top of the first floor windows, and that's where I'm getting confused here. Look at this. The top of the first floor windows, it's saying 11'10", which is higher than the, so I have to move that down, definitely. Okay, so that should be from the first floor, if it's 10 feet. All right, it's 9'10". So now, okay, so that's what it should be. It's 9'10". So it's really only 2 inches below. Maybe I could change that. So I might change that. But you want to put in a level that says where your first floor windows are. I made it 2 inches below the second top of the first floor wall, which is a little bit tight, but it's a high ceiling. So I made it that. I could probably change that down a little bit. Maybe I should make it 8'10". Yeah, I think I will. So nothing's written in stone. So I'm going to change that to 8'10". So it's 1 foot 2 inches below the top of the wall. The 5/8 inches here is the thickness of the gypsum board. So the actual, once we put the gypsum board ceiling in, then it's going to actually be 10 feet. And I took a 1 foot 2 away from that to put in my level for the top of the windows on the first floor. So I'll pause here and let you give that a try. You can put that in any of your sections or your elevations, and it will put those levels in all of your drawings, but it won't separate them like this. You know, I had to actually physically drag those out there just for the clarification so that I could demonstrate that. So I'm going to pause here for a second and let you try to put that figure out in a section. What's the distance from your first floor to the top of the first floor wall, and then subtract 1'2" just to put in the remember it's got that gypsum board there, so it's really 10 feet from the first floor to the ceiling, and then I subtracted 1'2" from that to get my top of first floor windows. But like I said, I'm going to pause here and let you do that and see if anyone's having any trouble with that, and I'll definitely give you a hand, but I'll give you a couple minutes to do that.
Professor?
Yeah.
You said that are we doing, for the first floor window, you said it's going to be 2 feet below the top of the wall?
Approximately 1'2" below.
Okay, 1'2". Okay.
Yeah. So what is your distance from the first floor to the top of the first floor wall?
Give me a moment.
Take your time.
So the distance from,
you know, there's no rush. You take your time. Don't feel rushed at all.
Actually, I don't know why I was doing it the hard way. I just could measure it myself. I'm there trying to see if I took the measurement. So from the first floor to the top of the first floor wall, my distance is 10 foot, 10 foot and 5/8 of an inch.
All right, so that's exactly what I have. So simply click on one of the levels and copy it up 8'10", and then rename that new level to top of first floor windows.
Okay, so let me just copy this one. Click anywhere and go up 8'10". Okay. And then
now there's two ways to change the name. One is if you highlight it, if you click on it, you can change it in the properties box over here. You can see I changed it to top of first floor windows. But of course, you know, we can also just click on that, and like a word processor, we can change the text that way as well.
Yeah, that's the way I'm doing it for changing.
Fine. Whatever you're comfortable with and used to.
Okay. Oh, I gotta unlock it first before I move it.
Yes, if you don't unlock it and you try to move it, it'll move all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that several times already.
Yeah.
Let's drag this a little away. Okay. Oops. Oh, it's much easier if I just use the arrows also to move it.
Definitely the arrow keys, they call that nudging it. And sometimes that is much easier to use the arrow keys. If you get in the habit of that, you'll find that it's very useful. But you can also just move it with your mouse, whichever is easier.
Okay.
What was the distance again that we had to move it?
To move, well, moving it, I just moved it out of the way so I
Okay.
could read it, because I have a lot of stuff here and I can't read all of these things. So I wanted to make sure that you could read all of my levels. It's a mess. It's really bad. I'll have to go back in and clean it up later, because I like all of my levels to be in alignment. But if they can't be, then I'll align some others to. I mean, I'll make another column of bubbles, but I wouldn't leave it like this. I'd clean it up eventually, but for now, just for demonstration purposes, that's the clearest way for you to see it.
And the distance between the top of the first floor windows to the top of the first floor, what was that?
8'10".
Okay.
So an easy way to do that is, I'm going to delete this. So after you've copied it, it might be here. And so the easiest way to do that is simply put in a dimension and then click on the level and then change that dimension to 8'10". And that puts it right where you want it to be. Well, I said 8'1". So see, I made a mistake here, so I'll change it. 8'10". Now I have the right dimension, and it's calculating what the level is relative to what we're saying. In my case, I'm saying the grade is 0. So the grade is 2 feet below the first floor. The distance is 8'10", so I would add 2 feet to that to make this work. And that gives me the 10'10", because it's all relative to the 0 elevation or level, which is the grade, not the first floor. So that's why it's saying a different number. All right, so the next thing we want to do is the same thing on the second floor. We want to put in our, from the second floor, which is right here. I think it's this guy. Yep. And I want to go up to my top of second floor windows. And that one, because I have an 8-foot ceiling here, is going to be 6'10". So my windows will be 1'2" below the top of the second floor. And again, that's very easy to put that in. You just copy the level and put it anywhere you want, and then put in a dimension. These two are real close together. The nice thing is you can hover over it. It'll tell you what level it is, and then click on it, and then click on that, and then click on the level that you just copied up to some random distance, and then just change it to 6'10". And now we have another level, which we would rename top of second floor window. So we know what that level is. So I'll give you a moment to do that. And if anyone has any problems with that, I'm happy to help. We can share your screen. We can take a look at it, see what you think, help you out. So I think it's easier now, the second time we do it. The first time we put that level in, it might have been a little bit more difficult, but now we're putting in the top of the second floor windows. And that should be easier because you've already done it once. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to put a level in there, which is the bottom of the fascia. Remember, let's see. Close that one down. And I'm gonna keep this one. Yeah. So now we want to say, well, where's the bottom? This is the fascia. We want to put a dimension in there for the bottom of the fascia. Okay. So that's going to be a new level. And that level is 7 3/4 inches above the top of the window. So we're gonna copy that level and rename it to what? To the, let's go back to this section that's clearer, to the bottom of the fascia, and the distance that should be from the second floor to the bottom of the fascia should be 7 foot 5 3/4 inches. Or the distance from the, it'll be the same, but now this is the top of the window and the bottom of the fascia is 7 3/4 inches. So if you're going to copy this level up, then make it 7 5 3/4. If you're going to copy that level down, then make it 7 3/4. It'll be the same distance in either case. So that might be a little bit confusing, but all we're trying to do is just identify what the level of the bottom of the fascia is going to be. And this is essentially how the roof would be constructed, where we will be putting structure in the first floor and the second floor, but I will not ask you to put in framing for the roof. That would be Revit 2, which we don't offer at this school, because that starts to get really complicated, and we want to get the basic commands down. And that putting in the structure for the roof would be definitely time consuming and difficult, and certainly be frustrating for you as the first time. So
Can you go back to the section?
Yeah, sure. This one?
Yeah. And for the 7 3/4 inches, where did you copy from?
Well, you can copy any level you want, and then put in, and then put this dimension in, put a dimension in, you know. And so if I have a level and I copy it, I can copy it up. Anywhere. We can't see that because my crop region is too low, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. Now we can see it. So once you have copied it up, you can copy it anywhere you want to, and then simply put in a dimension here, and then click on that level, and you can change it to whatever number you want it to be. And then you can click on that and change the name to whatever you want it to be. So it's not difficult to add additional levels. And another thing, where's my grade? While you're doing that, I'm gonna, I like to, this is my grade level, and I right click and override graphics and view by element. And I just change that to green. So now you can see, I won't mistake what that level is. I can see exactly what it is. It's the grade. I make that the grade level green. You don't have to do that. It confuses you. But notice when I go back to the other section, it didn't do that. It didn't change it. It's only all of the changes you make on this section is not going to be carried through on any other section. So it's not changing this level here. I have to do it on every single view. Override graphics and view by element, and just change it to green. And so now I have that in. So I can see that's my, when I look at that level, I don't have to hover over it to see what it's called. I can tell it's the grade because it's green. And you can do that in any other level that you want as well. So if it gets confusing, I lost that section. Huh. All right, so the next thing we want to do
Professor, did you tell us the dimension for the first floor fascia? Because I just saw that on your elevations, but I only put in the top of second floor.
Yeah, okay. So let's put in the bottom of the fascia is going to be let's see here. So here's my first floor roof, which does not have a soffit in yet. I only put the soffit in on the second floor, just as an example here. Okay. And what I'm seeing, when I highlight it, this is what you're seeing on the right there is that's the fascia in the background. This is the fascia that we're concerned with right now. All right, so the question is, what about the fascia on the first floor? Let's see, this is the top of the windows. And so let's see, we're gonna have, that's way too much. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that. And the distance should be the same. So from the 7 3/4 inches above the windows, okay? So I'm gonna take this, this is my window line. I don't have a level in there from the bottom of the fascia, so I'll copy it from here right up to there. And now I'm gonna rename that to bottom of BO first floor fascia. And you can see that it doesn't line up. My fascia doesn't line up right now. So what is this? Top of the fascia. All right, so I really should bring this down. I haven't drawn this correctly. And so I'm going to take and grab all of those levels. And let's see what happens when I move those levels down. Well, let's double check to make sure that fascia. So I don't want to move this one down. That's the second floor. This is the first floor fascia. What's this one? Bottom of the first floor fascia. Huh. Okay. I think I wanted that to be 7 3/4 inches. So let's see. I'm going to dimension this guy from here to here and change that to 7 3/4 inches because I want it to be the same as the other one. 7.75 inches. Okay, so that's where this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be the bottom of the fascia is supposed to be right here. I'm going to change the color of that, override the graphics, just so that I have a lot of stuff up there. It's starting to get really confusing. And if I'm confused, it's okay for you to be confused, okay? So now this is the bottom of the, let's click on that level, just see what it is. That's the bottom of the fascia. That's where it should be. But look where it is. When I put it in incorrectly. So let's go back and see what's going on the second floor here. The top of the second floor fascia, what's that dimension? From the bottom of the fascia to the top of the fascia. Let's dimension that and see what that is. Bottom of the fascia. Yep. And then this is second floor wall. So that's not what I want. This is what I want. And it's 7 1/4. All right. So I can come back here and say that that's the top of the first floor fascia. Should be 7 1/4 inches. So I'll put my dimension in there from here to here. And it's 11 1/4. So I'm going to change it. I'll click on that level and say it's supposed to be 7 1/4. 7.25 inches. Okay, so that's the I'll change the name of that to top of, so that it makes sense when I look at it. TO, first floor fascia. Interesting, I already have a top of first floor fascia. So I'm gonna do, let's see. So for right now, this is getting confusing and I apologize for that, but
So I have a question. If I don't have a roof on top of my first floor, I don't need this fascia, no?
no, if your entire house only has a second floor,
Yeah, like this is what I was designing from the beginning. I don't know. Yeah.
that makes it easier for your model. If you don't have a first floor roof, that makes it much easier for the model. And that's entirely okay. There's no problem with that. So you can see that I'm going to change. I can't call it 1ST. I'll just call it first. Okay. And now let's find it right here. I'm going to change that also, override the graphics by element, and just change it to red, just so that I don't get confused with all of these levels in here. And say, okay, so now I know that those two red lines are where my fascia is supposed to be. And so now I want my roof So I want the roof not to be the top of the 1ST floor fascia. I'm going to change it to the top of first floor fascia because I made another level there. And look at it, brings it right down to that. And now I don't need this one anymore. I'll just delete it and say, okay. And this is my second floor. Okay, so now I have my first floor roof is in the right location. I put it in incorrectly, I think. Yeah, so still doesn't look right. Something's definitely not right. I think, what's this? Bottom of the fascia, top of the first floor fascia, 7 1/4. So, there's my problem. I had the wrong size. I had the 1x12 here instead of that 1x8. So we'll get to that. All right, so that's what we want. I know you might be very confused. I'm almost a little bit confused too. So let's share somebody's screen so that I can work with your model. If somebody would be willing to share the screen.
I don't mind sharing my screen, Professor.
Let's take a look at it and we'll see what we can do with your model to get it right.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Oh, I need you to allow me to share first, Professor.
I thought I stopped sharing. Let's see if that's not.
No, I mean to give me permission to share. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, there we go. I think we're great now. I think.
Yes, we're good. So this is what I currently have right now.
All right.
For the fascia, based on what you said it's gonna be from the top to the bottom, it's gonna be 7 1/4 inch.
Yep.
For each of the fascia, and so that's what I did for both the first floor and the second floor.
All right.
Is there something that you said you wanted to work with and try to correct something? Is there anything that you see that needs to be corrected?
Well, pretty good, but a good double check right now would be, let's put some dimensions in. What's the dimension from the first floor to the bottom of the first floor fascia? Let's try that first.
The first floor to the bottom of the first floor fascia.
That should be 6. So, or
I have 7'7".
Okay, so your ceiling, yeah. So we have a problem there. Okay, so let's just put that in. Let's put that dimension in. Go ahead and click anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I think we said that was supposed to be 8'10", wasn't it?
Oh, the top of the first floor window.
Oh, that's the fascia. Okay.
Yeah, that's the fascia.
Okay, okay, so the fascia is going to be above the, the bottom of the first floor fascia.
Oh, I know what I did wrong. I see what I did wrong, Professor. I did the my fascia for some reason. I started the top of my first floor fascia below my first floor window.
Yeah, I've made that mistake in real life. It cost me $60,000. And the reason $60,000 is because it was for a condominium project. And what happens is if your fascia is below your window and it's a casement window that cranks out, the window won't crank out. It'll hit the fascia. Does that mean the top of the window is higher than the bottom of the fascia? When you try to crank the window out, it's going to hit the fascia board. And
Yeah.
I happened to be, I think it was a 12-unit condominium project, and I happened to be out to lunch with the developer and the contractor, and we were having lunch, and the contractor realized that he just realized that at lunch that was a problem, and so when it came time to get my final payment from the developer, he subtracted $60,000 from the final bill because he had to go back and change the architecture because the windows didn't crank open. And I couldn't argue with him. It's what it cost. The contractor made a nice juicy profit on that, but that's not my position to argue that. So I had to reduce my final payment by $60,000, and that was not a good day to go back to the office and tell everybody that, or tell my partners anyway, that the final check that I got from the developer was shy by $60,000. So that's a mistake we don't want to make. So let's make sure we get that fascia above the window. Okay.
The
Right.
fascia is installed according to the top of the window of whatever floor it is, right?
Essentially, yes.
So it's 7 inches and 3/4 for the bottom of the fascia or the top?
Let me look at my screen again real quick.
I believe it's for the top. I could do a quick measurement on my screen if I'm not mistaken. So, so this is the top of the second, 7 3/4 from the top of the window to the top of the fascia.
Okay, sounds good.
And the bottom is what?
The bottom was, the bottom, I believe we did it from the top of the fascia.
Oh, and that would be the 7 1/4. Okay, I got
Yeah,
it now.
right. Yeah.
So we should duplicate that on the first floor.
Right. So, so this one, I gotta just actually I could just. I think it'd be easier if I just redo it and then
No,
delete it.
absolutely not. No.
Nope.
Click
No.
on the
Okay.
level. Go ahead and click on the level of the top of the fascia and just drag it up so that it's above the window. It doesn't matter how much it's above the window. We're going to move it.
Oh, okay.
Now, click right there. Now put a dimension in between the, and then put that dimension in, click on the level and change it that way. You have to click on the level first, right? So you're still in a dimension. So hit escape, then click on the level and then change that right there. Yep.
7 3/4.
All right. And now let's go back and see what the distance is from the
The bottom of the second floor fascia to the.
yeah, I don't know that we really need to put in a level for the bottom of it. So we can just ignore that for right now. Because
Okay. So just leave this here.
when we put in the fascia, it's going to be relative to the roof. It'll attach to the roof. Okay, so that looks good. You got your fascia, you got your second floor window, you got your first floor fascia. I think we're good for now. We're okay there. Okay.
Okay.
Professor, I just want
All
to
right.
check
So
and then because I wasn't catching your steps previously.
Let's look at your screen then, and we'll get it right. I know I'm making it a lot more confusing than it needs to be.
1 second.
Okay.
You said first to copy the first floor wall to like
All right, so let's put a dimension in so that I can see what the distance from your first floor up to the top of the first floor wall. Okay, that's 10 foot 0 and 5/8. All right, so then we're going to copy the first floor level. Just copy it up. Doesn't matter how far. We'll put a dimension in to actually place it.
you said to copy how far?
Just anywhere. Just click anywhere. Okay, now let's put a dimension in from the first floor to level 10 that you're calling it right now. Excellent. Now hit escape on the keyboard. Click on level 10, not the dimension. We're going to click on the level. And now we're going to change that to, I think it's 8 foot 10. And now let's change the name of level 10 to top of first floor windows.
First floor window.
First floor window. Yep, top of first floor window. All right. That looks good. Let's click on that little lock symbol and drag that particular bubble over. We can't drag it right now because it's locked. It'll take all of the levels across. So now just drag it to the right because it looks like there's something underneath it. We just want to clean that up. Maybe a little bit more because it's still on top of that bubble. Yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? Now we can see both of those. Okay, so we have the top of the first floor wall. Okay, so yeah, I can see what's going on there. All right, now let's do the same thing on the second floor. What's the distance from the second floor? It's 8 foot 0 and 5/8, so that's going to be 6 foot 10. So we're going to copy the second floor level up, and you can just copy it up and say, not the window, we're going to copy the second floor level. Yep, and we'll just copy that up 6 foot 10. Go straight up and then just type 6'10" and that'll get it exactly where we want it. And again, let's hit that little lock symbol and drag it out because it seems to be on top of the other one there. So we don't want any confusion. We don't want any more confusion than I've already introduced into this exercise. All right, and we're going to change the name of it from level 11 to top of second floor window. All right, so now we have to put in our top of the
Fisher.
top of the fascia. What do we say that was? 7 3/4?
Yeah, 7 3/4 from the top of the window.
Okay, so we're going to copy that up again, 7 3/4.
Uh, 7 inches and 3/4, right?
Yes. Make sure you put the inch symbol in, otherwise it'll think you're telling it 7 3/4 feet. Yeah, you have the inch symbol after 7. You got to get rid of that.
That 7 inch and 3/4 is from top of first floor, or from the first floor?
Top of the
No,
window.
no. Top of,
So it's either from the top of the first floor window or from
oh, top of the first floor. Okay.
Gonna be top of the first floor window, right?
Yep, and then copy that up 7 3/4 inches.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. So let's put another one in. Now that, make sure you click on the right level because the two levels are pretty close to each other there. So make sure you zoom in real close, hover over it just to make sure you're selecting the right level.
That's the top of the first floor window.
That says level 12. So we don't need that. Go ahead and click on level 12 and just delete it.
That's
Yeah.
the one that we created, I think.
Yeah, but we'll just delete it. Just when it says level 12, now just click on it and just delete it. Okay. So top of first floor.
Professor,
There.
I think he still has several other levels connected to it. Like if Alpha, if you could zoom out instead of zooming in, you'll see that you have more levels to the right. See right there. So that's the level 12 that he's asking you to delete.
Excellent. So we're going to click on top of first floor window level, and we're just going to copy that straight up 7 3/4 inches. Make sure you move your mouse straight up though. See, you're moving it to the right. So hit escape. select it, click on it, move it up, or copy, yep, copy. Now you have to click anywhere, and then move your mouse straight up. There,
It's up now because I don't understand what you mean.
Click on an empty space. You're clicking too close to the line, so that's why Revit is snapping to the second floor. So when you click on the space to move up, you want to click away from any lines or words. So you would have to hit escape again, and then copy. Like, you don't have to be that low. You don't have to be that low. You can be above, like away from all the writings, like the empty space up there, right? And then click there and then move it up. Up the other way.
keep going up. You have to,
Keep on.
there you go.
Right.
As long as you're above the point you clicked at, it'll move it up. And now you can type the 7 3/4. All right, so that level that you just put in,
Yeah, he put like 7, not 7 foot, only 7 inches he took.
that's what we want, is 7 3/4 inches.
Oh, okay.
So let's change that to top of first floor fascia. All right, so let's get it out of the way there. We have to, excellent. So now let's just double check that the dimension is correct. We want to dimension from the top of the window to the top of the first floor fascia. And just double check to make sure that that distance is 7 3/4 inches.
Okay.
And if it's not, we can fix it real easy. It's good. All right. Now let's do the same thing on the second floor. Top of the second floor window to the top of the fascia. That's going to be another, so we'll just copy that level up, 7 3/4 inches. Make sure you move your mouse straight up. See, now that's going to move it down. You don't want to move it down. You want to move it up. So you have to be above the point that you just clicked on. So there you go. That's good. Keep, no, yes. Now you can type 7 3/4 inches. All right, and change the name of that to the top of the fascia, top of second floor fascia. So the reason we're putting these levels in now is because we're going to put the roof in, and we need to tell the roof, we need to tell Revit what level we want the roof to start at. And the roof is going to start at the top of the second floor fascia, and it's going to start at the top of the first floor fascia. So I want to share my screen again now. If you have these levels in, we're good to go. So I'm going to share my Revit screen
Okay.
again. And I have the roof in, so I'm going to go back to the roof plan and just delete it. I'm going to delete all my roof plans. I'm going to say select all instances in entire project, and let's see what happens. let's go back and look in 3D. Did I get all the roofs out of there? Yeah, I got all the roofs. I had already put them in, but now I want to go back in and demonstrate how to do that. And look at all the tabs that I have open. I have way too many tabs open. So I'm going to use this button right here, close inactive windows, and that will get rid of all of those tabs. Now I'm going to go, I have a level. Okay, so this is probably the next thing we should do is we want to make a floor plan with those levels. So we go over to the view tab. That's at the top there. And we're going to go over to plan views. And we're actually going to go to floor plan. And these are all the other views that we can create over here. And you're going to pick top of first floor fascia and top of second floor fascia, and click on both of those and say okay, and that's going to add those over here to your possible levels. So I'm at my now.
Can you show how to go find the plan view again?
Yep, view tab is first. Then we're going to look for plan views, and we'll click on that, and it'll give us all of these different places where we can make floor plans. And we're going to click on just the regular floor plan, and we're looking for top of first floor fascia and top of second floor fascia. And you click on that and say okay, and it'll put them over here. So I'm at the top of the second floor fascia. That is where my roof should be starting now. It's always a good idea to save it. So let's save it for a quick second here. And now we're going to draw the perimeter of the roof. And I want my roof to be 1 foot, a 1 foot overhang. So if we take a look at, oh, I took the roof out, so I can't show it to you anymore. So just notice how the roof overhangs the, let's see if there's a good spot. You can see here, the roof doesn't line up with the wall. It's a foot away from it, or you can make it 2 feet or whatever distance you want. But here's the outside face of the wall. I can see that. You should be able to see that too. And now I'm going to come over to the architecture tab and say I'm going to draw a roof. Now, we haven't made the roof yet. You don't have the roof made the way that I want it to be made. So you're going to edit whatever roof is there and duplicate it and rename it to shingles plywood. I spelled it wrong. So I'll fix that. So shingles plywood is what we want to call it. And this is what it'll look like. It's going to be shingles on top of plywood. That's all it's going to be. And these are the functions that we want. And these are the materials that we want. So the structure is going to change from whatever you have to plywood sheathing. And that's going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. And then you have to insert another row and make it a finish. And it's going to be asphalt shingles. So I think you know how to do that. If you don't, I'll be happy to help you out. But I'm leave this on the screen right now. And that's what you want to duplicate in terms of the composition of your roof. Is anyone having trouble duplicating what I have on the screen here? We're simply picking
Um,
whatever roof material
Ye-
you have.
ye-
And say it
Yeah,
again.
I'm having a little bit of issue for some reason.
Okay, then
Um,
let's share your screen
okay.
and we'll take a look at what you have.
Sure. I'm in the process of duplicating the roof. This is how it originally came with a
Okay,
layer above wrap. I thought the easiest way I wanted to just move this up, but it's not highlighting anything to allow me to move it.
the reason it won't is if you try to move the finish up, there won't be anything in between the core boundaries, and you have to have something. So you can move the structure up. So hit the up button now that you have the row 4 highlighted, and that will put the structure in between the core boundaries. Hit the up button.
It went up instead of moving up.
Click on number 4. Click
Uh-huh.
up. Go. Now you have two materials between the core boundary. We're going to click on row number 3. And now
Okay.
we can move it up because it'll still have the structure
Okay.
in between the core boundaries. You always have to have something between the core boundaries. And generally, the general practice is we put our structure between the core boundaries.
Okay. And you said the in-between would be plywood.
Yep.
And the finish
Plywood
would be
with that structure, so that's okay. The material is going to be plywood sheathing.
plywood sheathing. And this is gonna be shingles.
What size is the plywood? It's 3/8, 5/8.
3/4 of an inch. It could be
3/4.
5/8 if you wanted to make it 5/8.
Oh, okay,
That
3/4.
would be
Okay.
acceptable in the industry as well. 3/4 might be a little bit heavier than normal, but we don't really know. I would use 3/4 now. I've used less before, but now with the Tesla solar roof coming out, I would like to have a little bit more strength there. So I would use 3/4. I will use 3/4 from now on. If the client ends up using asphalt shingles, it could be a little bit less. But if they decide that at some point in time they want to go back and put the Tesla solar
makes
panels
sense.
up there, they might be happy to have a little bit heavier.
Stronger. Yes.
Well, I would just
And
the
how thick
shingles,
would the
half
shingles
an
be?
inch, 3/4 of an inch is fine for the shingles.
So,
It's
inch.
probably not more than a half an inch, but it depends on what you're buying. Okay, so now that looks great. We'll say okay to that.
Okay.
And okay to that. And now you have the correct roof composition that we want to use. Revit, actually, their standards that come with your model, they're putting in some sort of a structure below the roof, and that's not the correct way to do it. We put the structure in individually. So this is just the finished material here, the plywood sheathing. Now, is that the perimeter of the entirety of the second floor?
Second floor, yes.
Okay, so let's do that. We're going to go up to the draw area, and we're going to draw a line.
Okay.
Now, before you add anything else in, right now, if you draw a line, it's going to go right where you draw it. So we're going to go back up into that green bar that's underneath the ribbon and change that to whatever overhang you want. How far do you want the roof to overhang from the face of the wall? A foot, 2 feet, 3 feet? Any of those are completely acceptable. 8 inches is probably okay, but it's a little bit too
Close.
for me. I would not make it 8 inches. I would make it at least a foot.
So we're going to offset by a foot then,
Okay.
correct?
Yeah, okay, if you want to, or more.
All right.
Now you're ready to trace the perimeter of your building.
Okay, and it would be the outside walls, correct?
Yes, correct.
Let me so no more.
Okay, so now, but look where you did.
Oh,
You're putting the
oh.
overhang on the inside of the building, and we want it to be on the outside of the building.
yeah. I don't know why it's doing that though.
Well, it depends on the relationship of your mouse to the line that you're drawing. If it's just slightly to the left, it will draw it slightly to the left. If it's just slightly to the right, it's going to draw it slightly to the right. So let's go ahead and put it in there, and we'll take a look at where it's drawing it. If it's drawing it on the wrong side, then we'll hit the space bar.
Okay.
So it is
Yeah.
on the wrong side, hit the space bar. Now it's on the correct side.
And this is where it gets a little bit funky.
Yeah, so go ahead and just keep drawing it all the way straight down.
Just
What's-
always.
Yeah, what's showing there is that you have two different wall types, but you really should have an exterior wall where you don't have it. But that's okay. We'll
Okay.
fix that in a minute. Just keep drawing.
Okay.
Okay, so see, look at that. That line is not straight. You can see that it's pixelated. It has like a
Yeah.
tag in it. So close the warning down at the bottom,
Okay.
and we're going to just delete that line and draw it again.
Let me just click that.
All right, and now we'll draw a line across there again, straight across this time.
So straight from here. Oh wait, I forgot to do the offset.
All right, so we have to clean it up a little bit.
Okay, and that would be the trim extend tool.
Excellent.
That. There's that.
Now let's go back to that one spot where we wanted to fix that. I think that you're going to have to go back and make that wall thicker so that the outside edge of the thicker wall below is actually where the distance from the overhang is going to be. So if you want to put in a dimension, let's do that. Let's put in a dimension line.
Dimension line.
And we're going to move your mouse down, not up, down. Okay, keep going down a little more, and then keep going down a little more. That, click there, and then click the magenta line and place your dimension. Hit escape. Click on the magenta line that you just dimensioned to.
Okay.
And change that dimension to 1 foot. Instead of 5 7/8, change it to a foot.
You said
1 foot.
one foot. Okay.
Okay, so now let's not do anything, but just zoom out and take a look at the entirety of the magenta line. You can see that there's a little triangle next to each of those magenta lines. And
Yes.
that represents the slope. So you can see on the magenta line that you just moved, it's saying that the slope is 9/12. So we always measure the slope of the roof relative to how high we want it to rise for every 12 inches it goes horizontally. So that means that for every 12 inches your roof goes horizontally, it's going to rise up by 9 inches. And so in the event that you didn't want one of those roofs to have a slope, Let's click on the bottom magenta line, for example, and click on that. And then up in the ribbon, below the ribbon, it says defines slope. Let's uncheck that. And just when we make your roof, we'll see what happens. So we should be in good shape here. Let's hit the green check mark and then look at what you just did in 3 dimensions. Now you see all of the roofs have a slope to it except for the one in the front, because we said it doesn't have a slope. You see
Right.
the front of the house that we would call that a gable end. So any place you want a gable end, you would tell Revit that it does not define the slope. And
Oh, okay.
if you want a slope, then you have to tell it what angle you want that to be. So the slope of your roof right now is, we call it 912. And you can change that by, if you go back to the floor plan and click on your roof.
Right. This is the
That's the correct one. Click on the roof.
roof.
No. Escape.
Oh, sorry.
It would be
Click on the
ground
actual.
roof. I want to
Okay.
modify it. You have to hit the red check mark up at the top, the red X.
Okay.
Now we're gonna, always a good idea to do that. Click on the roof itself and
Yeah.
then go up and say edit footprint. That's in the ribbon.
That's another ribbon. Footprint.
It's all the way to the right.
Oh, there it is. All right, edit footprint.
Now, no, it turned it back to magenta. Now let's click on that bottom line that you said you didn't want to have the slope, and let's tell it does define the slope. Okay, and now this would be where you would go back in and say, well, 912 is too steep or not steep enough. You might change the slope of it, but let's just hit the green check mark just to see what you just did. We'll look at it in 3D again. And now
Okay.
you can see it has a slope.
Deselected to see it better. Okay.
So now that roof has a slope. If you want it to have a slope, then that's fine. And if you don't want it to have a slope, that's fine too. Now let's take a look, let's spin it around because there's a place that there doesn't seem to be a roof. Let's see.
That's the first floor garage.
Okay, so let's put a roof over that too.
Okay.
Now we want to go to the first floor, top of first floor fascia, because that's the level where we want that to be. And we're going to draw a roof around the garage. Same basic way.
Line. One.
Now, the only place that's going to be is where it doesn't have a wall of the house. So there's really only 3 walls that's going to.
Yeah. So here, and then here.
Yep, exactly.
Can
Okay.
I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I got disconnected just now. I didn't see how you edited the footprint.
You click on the roof and then.
I don't mind going back to show.
Okay.
Just click on the roof, and then right up there on the top
Okay.
it says edit footprint.
So could you do that with like a floor then?
You could, well, that's how you edit the footprint of the floor too. But
Okay.
they call that edit boundary, right?
Edit boundary, okay. I need to edit my floor when I'm pushing walls around. I haven't been able to figure it out.
Okay, so now we'll put the roof in here. We're on the first floor fascia level. So
Yep.
that should be putting the roof at the correct level.
So 1. Spacebar.
And here we don't want an overhang, so go back up and change the 1 foot to 0.
Would that change it for all of them or just that one line? Or should I hit?
Right, it's only going to be for the next line that you draw. So change it to 0, and there won't be an overhang there because that's going to hit up against the wall. Now draw
Okay.
straight up, go straight up to the other line of the wall. Make sure you go straight. Yep. I'm going to click on that wall right there.
Uh-huh.
all the way to the left. And we want to click the other wall. Yep, that's kind of where we want to be. Yep. And then we'll go back to the end of the magenta line. Now, the walls, the edges of the roof that are hitting up against that wall, we do not want to have a slope there. So we're going to click each one of those magenta lines one at a time. Got to hit escape first.
Okay.
Yep, and that will not define a slope. So we'll uncheck that.
So one for here.
And there's one more.
This one right here.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look. We got the right material, I hope. I'm not-
Oh, I forgot to check to see which. Is it the laser? Oh. Okay, let me hit check and it should tell me.
We're good.
Basically, yeah.
Yep, okay. Now let's do look in 3D and see what you did there.
Okay.
Now you have a roof over the garage. But if you spin it around, you can see that there is going to be some water trapped between the house and
Yeah, I see exactly what you're
you
talking
have
about.
to put a saddle, what's called a saddle in there. And that's just another roof that slopes away from the house. It'll force the water away. But for purposes of right now, this is fine. This is absolutely totally acceptable. So now you have your roof. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else having trouble with their roof before we go on to put the fascia board in?
Yeah, I'm having a bit of trouble.
All right, let's share your screen and we'll do the same thing.
Yeah, so right here, I think what I'm messing up is I think I messed up the second floor fascia elevation. It's right here. So I think I messed up here. How tall should be from the second floor windows? Because what's happening now is it's going through the walls
Okay.
like this, right? And
Yeah,
we don't
so
want
it's a little
that.
bit low, but that's all right. When we change the location of the level
Mhm,
in this section, it'll change the roof automatically.
right.
So let's see now. The first floor, the second floor to the top of the second floor is 8'0" and 5/8.
Mhm.
Okay. Now the top of the second floor windows, what is the dimension from the second floor to the top of the second floor window?
Let's see. It is 6'10".
Okay, so that's perfect. Now, what is the dimension from the top of the window to the top of the
Fascia. It's 07 3/4.
3/4? Okay, so that oh yeah, you know, we didn't put the freeze board in there. So let's click on the top of the second floor fascia. That's the bottom.
This one right here. Yep.
Top of the second floor.
Fascia. Yep.
Yeah, let's click on that and just move it up another 8 inches.
8 inches. Okay. Just that. Like that.
Yeah, that's now let's go back and take a look at your 3D view. All right, so it should have raised that up. Let's look at a section through there real quickly. See what's going on.
I think we'll go back to first floor. Section. No, that's not the right one. This one. To be already.
All right, so let's see what is the level right below that.
This one.
Hover over it; it'll tell you the name. You don't have to pan
This
over.
is second floor windows. Top second floor windows.
Okay, and the top of the second floor fascia is how much? Is
This is right here.
yeah,
Slightly above.
I want to.
And then second floor wall.
All right, so let's click on your roof. Just click on it right there in that section, right there.
Right here.
Yep, and we're going to say the top of the base level is the top of the second floor fascia. So that's perfect. That's what we want.
Mhm.
Now I'm confused. Show me where the level is that's the top of the second floor fascia.
Level. It's
You can just hover over them and it'll tell you what's
it's this one right here.
Okay, so let's top of second floor fascia, and we're telling the roof that it's the top of the second floor fascia, but yet look where it is.
Maybe the footprint's messed up. Let me just redo it then real quick. Get out of this view. Am I still in this view right now? No, what's happening? Oh, I'm not able to see anything right now. Oh, I guess because there's nothing that it's gonna show.
Okay, if you want to see the second floor, then that's an underlay. So go back and go over to your underlay. And just say, show me
Underlay.
the second floor.
There we are. Okay. Mm. Oh, it should be good. No, I could just try and redo it real quick.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's going to change anything. Let's go back to the section that we can try to diagnose what the issue is here, because you're telling Revit that the roof should start at the top of the second floor fascia,
Right.
and yet when we look at it, all right, so over in the properties, let's go scroll up there in the properties, and the base level is the top of the second floor fascia, and yet it's not.
Let's try to just see what changes. Wants to start from like here.
That's the bottom of the second.
Yeah.
So you have the base level set correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, you see, there's no offset from the base level. You're exactly at 0.
Yeah.
And so that should be putting the roof in right at the top of the second floor fascia. So let's show me the level. Hover over the levels just to see the names of them. I want to see top of second floor fascia, TO. It looks like it's the same name, but do we have top of second floor wall? What's the one below it? Top of second floor windows. So that's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very strange because it looks to me like you have it correctly set up.
Right.
That roof right now should be right at that level. All right, so let's grab the roof. We're going to leave it highlighted. That's fine. Go down at the very edge of the roof with your
Right.
mouse. We're gonna zoom in on that and we're gonna move. So let's. All right, but you really want to use the snaps in order to do that. So we're going to use move. And then snap to the bottom of the roof. That's it. You had it.
Here?
There, where you see the box. Yeah. Go straight up, all the way up to the level, which is that. I think it's the top level, isn't it?
This one?
I think, but I might be wrong. We'll click there.
Um,
It'll move it up to that. If you think it's the other one, go ahead.
I think it's this one. Oh,
Okay.
right. And this one. This is another sec for a while. Okay. Then it's the other one. This one. Boom. Okay. Like that, right?
Yeah. Now look at what it says here. We're saying the base level is the top of the second floor fascia, and then it's 9 inches above that. So that's where I'm really confused, because that if the top of the second floor fascia is our level, then the offset should be 0,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. And I don't know what's wrong there. We've looked at your levels; they are correct. What's the distance between those levels? That might tell us something.
Which one? These two or these?
The bottom of the window. Okay, the window.
The window.
That one. That's the top of the window, and
To
that's
fascia. and then
That
here
doesn't make
is
any sense either.
this.
None of those make any sense at all. Okay, but we have the roof in the right spot.
Okay.
So we're fine with that. It doesn't look like you have much of an overhang there, but if that's what you want, you're the architect, okay?
Right.
So that's okay.
Yeah,
Let's
fine.
take a look at it in 3D. We'll just walk around the house real quick and take a look at it in 3D. All right. We got now that the garage, let's see, are you gonna have house on top of the garage or not?
I don't know yet. I just say I want to keep it for now because
Okay.
it is extra space, right?
Let's put a roof on top of it then. We can always
do
change
that.
it. It's
Okay.
a good exercise. Let's do that.
Let's do this.
Now your roof is not gonna have a drainage problem, is it? No, we don't want to.
Nope.
Okay, wait, is that true? We're second floor, yep, all right.
Yeah. So it's just gonna.
Okay, so you do want to edit that. So, all
Right.
right, what's your overhang gonna be? You have to click on the line, first of all, the
1
line
foot.
command. You gotta tell Revit you're gonna draw a line, and then you have to give it the overhang, whatever you want it to be. And then you're gonna, no, don't go to the center of the, go to the outside edge of the wall. Yep, that's good right there. Watch where it's going. You got it on the inside instead of the outside. See that?
Yeah.
You
How
have
do I change it? Is it
space bar.
control?
Space-
Shift?
Just hit spacebar.
Spacebar.
Well, you have to hit the spacebar before you click.
I did. Oh, I do before I make the line, right?
No, now. As you
Now?
run it across, hit the spacebar.
Okay, give me a second. So you do 1 foot, right?
Yep.
Okay, and
And
then
hit the spacebar before you
Space.
click that second click. Hit the spacebar. No, you're good. Hit the spacebar.
it's enter first. Oh, no. You hear me pressing spacebar, right?
Hit escape. Yeah, just hit escape. You want to
Do
get
you
out?
hear my keyboard?
Yeah, so hit the, all right, so then we're gonna just hit the red X up there and we'll start over again. I don't know what's going on, but all right, now we'll edit your roof again.
Footprint.
All right, now we're gonna draw a line. It's gonna have a 1 foot overhang.
Okay.
All right, and now,
All right. So this is fine. I have to start from this side, it seems.
it would help. It'll,
Like that, right?
yep, that'll do it too.
Maybe like
You got a 0 overhang again now. You got to fix that. All right, let's clean it up a little bit. Now we have to split that roof. So go up into the ribbon. There's a split tool up there, a little higher, right there. Just now move your mouse down a little bit.
Here?
I wouldn't do it that way. I think you already split it. Anywhere in between, it's already split. Now you can trim extend. No, you split it once, and now you trim extend and put it together. Always click on the parts we want to keep. Looks good. All right, let's say okay and see what happens. Let's look at it in 3D. All right, now you have your roof. Look at that.
It's nice.
As it should be.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Well, look, can we use, is anybody, if no one else needs help with the roof, then we're going to put the fascia board in and we might as well use your screen to do it. How's that sound?
Sure, why not?
Now, if you change your overhang, the fascia board will move with your overhang. So you're in good shape there. So
Okay.
let's go take a look at it in 3D now.
3D.
All right. Now we're going to go back to the roof drop down this time, and we're going to tell Revit we're going to put, no, you're good in the view, back where you were. The 3D's fine.
Right here, right here. It's
Yeah,
fine.
up in the architecture tab, click on
Architecture.
architecture, then there's the roof command, but there's a drop down. Let's do the drop down and tell it we're going to put in a soffit. No,
Soffit.
I'm sorry, a fascia. We're putting in,
Fascia. Okay.
my mistake. You don't have to select the roof.
I don't have to select it. Okay.
Now we're
Fascia.
gonna put in a fascia. Now, before we put in a fascia, look at the size of it. It's a 1 by 12. And we probably want an 8-inch. So let's edit the type. Let's see what happens if we edit the type, duplicate it, and just say 1 by 8. Okay. So now click on that right there. There's a little drop down. Change it to 1 by 8. Okay.
You want
And
the same material?
you can make it whatever you want.
Okay. Doesn't really matter. Make it plywood then.
Normally it wouldn't be that, but that's okay. You can always come back and change it.
Yeah.
We'll say okay to that. Now zoom in on your roof edge. Oh wait, yep, your horizontal profile. We're going to change that to -1.5 inches. So you want it to be 1.5 inches. Yep. Okay. Now zoom in on your roof edge. Zoom in even more. You want to make sure to click on the bottom line. Try that. Click right there and zoom out and look what we just did. Now go all the way around the house the same way. Always pick the bottom. Look at how nice it cleans the edges up and everything. Now there might be two, you must have 2 roof parts there. So that's why you had to do that. Nice and clean all the way around. Something
Try to
weird
fix
in
this.
there, but that's okay. Click the bottom. I won't worry about that for now. Look how easy that was.
Mhm.
There you go. Now you have your soffit or your fascia board in. That looks pretty good. It was pretty easy too, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And Revit did that real quickly for you to put that in there. So does anybody else have trouble putting in their fascia?
Yeah, I'm not sure mine went in. I can't tell.
All right, let's have a look. Let's share your screen.
No, give me a second. Let me stop sharing.
Okay. So I did the fascia, but I just don't notice a difference.
All right. Let's spin it the other way so we can sort of be looking up at it. You know, instead of down at the roof, we're looking up at the, yeah, all right. So what's that little, okay, so the roof looks a little bit bad over by the garage, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've been trying to fix that.
Let's stick with your regular roof there. All right. So first thing we're going to do is go to the architecture tab, then the drop down at the roof. We're going to tell it we want to put in a fascia. And we want to edit the type because we need a 1
I
by
have
8.
the 1x8 one.
Pick that one. Now the horizontal profile offset's going to be -1.5 inches.
Okay. Is that it?
We can change the material later.
Okay.
Zoom in on your roof real close. You want to make sure you pick the bottom edge of that plywood. Looking good.
Okay.
Look at that. That's really nice. Now this is automatically locked into the edge of your roof. So if you go back in and say, wait a minute, I want to change an overhang here or there or wherever, it will automatically move your fascia at the same time. So keep spinning around until you get them all in.
think that's everything.
We'll spin it around just to make sure. Yep, it is, okay. Now, let's go do it to the garage roof.
Okay.
And we'll move the roof later, but you'll notice that the fascia board will move along with the roof. So it doesn't matter that that the roof's not in the right spot right now.
And if I edit the print of the roof, because right now I have it as a slope here, the fascia board would change with it or would not matter because it's against the wall?
Yeah, that's gonna be, I'm not sure how we would resolve that, but you're not gonna have a fascia board on that side anyway.
Okay.
There you go. All right. So now we have our fascia board in. Let's fix your roof. So we're gonna go to a floor,
Professor?
look at a section through there. Let's see what we have.
Professor?
This one.
Yes,
What did you say the horizontal profile was? You said -1 foot,
1.5 inches.
or 1.5 inches. Okay, thank you.
All right. That's not a section through the garage.
Maybe it's this one. I just made. No, I'll make another one. Yeah, it's right here. Okay.
All right. So what's happening there is, first of all, let's change it to fine resolution so we can try and figure out, is the wall in the right location or is the roof in the right location? So I think, let's click on your garage stacked wall,
No,
edit the type. Let's edit the structure and let's preview it and take a look at what we have there. You have the preview button down at the bottom left.
sorry.
That's all right. Stop saying sorry. You know, this is the first time you guys have ever done this. Yeah, the only problem is that I think the first row, click on number 1. See what's highlighted there?
Mhm.
That's the bond for the second floor, which you don't have. So we can delete that.
Okay.
And now let's go back. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay. Let's go back and say okay to that and see what happened. We might have to change the constraints of the wall, but we'll take a look at it and see.
Yeah, I even changed it to no floor, but I guess so. I have to change it in the section now to where the.
I would just click the wall that you have clicked on. What are you telling that wall to be the height of? If you look over at the properties, you want the height of that wall only to go to the top of the first floor wall. So let's
It's
go
there.
over. That's the second floor. So
Isn't this top of the? Oh, sorry, it's hard to see.
that's
Oh
why
yeah. Okay.
hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. Okay, so now let's over in the properties. You got to select the wall. Okay, it's selected. Scroll up in the properties and look at where you're telling over to the left in the properties. You got to scroll up. Where are you telling the top of it to be? The top constraint is what?
Second floor.
Yeah, if you say top of the first floor wall, it'll be where you want it to be. Look at that. So do the same thing on I think you have 3 garage walls. And there should be one more wall. I think you have 3 of those walls. You can
Do I
look,
cut a section to see that one, or
you could look at it in the floor plan too. All right, so I think it's that wall. You can just click on it. and change the properties of that one. All right, let's go back to that section because the and look at all of the tabs you have open. Why don't you go close all of the other ones? All right, now let's take a look at the distance from the first floor up to the bottom of the fascia. And I think I told you the wrong thing there, so let's just dimension it.
I don't think I have, oh yeah, right
8'10". Okay, so that really is, that's the top of the windows, right?
here. Okay.
Yeah, I think that is the top of the windows. So let's just, you can put that dimension in and just, now let's just hover over the level that it's actually dimensioned to and see what the name of it is. So see, you have it going to the top of the windows.
Okay.
We want, that's fine, but we want the roof to be, that the roof is really going to the bottom of the fascia board, I believe. So let's click on the level above that 8'10" dimension. What's the next level? All right, so let's click on that level and move it up 8 inches. Just click on it and move it up 8 inches.
Move this up 8 inches or?
Yeah, no, move the top of the fascia board. I told you the wrong dimension here. So we want to move, no, the other one. Click on that one and just move it up 8 inches.
I mean, wouldn't I need to make a dimension line to, this one's not connected to this.
I know, it doesn't have to be. Just click on that level
Mhm.
and say you're going to move it. Click anywhere. Move your mouse straight up and just type in 8 inches. I think you typed 8 feet. Look at that. That's really where we want the fascia board to be. I told you the wrong dimension, so that was my mistake, not yours. But
Okay.
see what you did? You moved the roof up, and at the same time, you moved your fascia board.
Mhm.
All right. So is anyone else having a problem with their roof and their fascia board?
Yes, Professor. I just wanna share my screen about my garage roof.
Okay.
Whenever I try to, it shows me that message.
All right. So hit the continue button. Your roof has to be a closed entity, and right now it isn't. All right. So you want to connect that. You only have 3 magenta lines and you need 4 because you have to have a box. So go back up and tell Revit you're going to draw a line. There's going to be no offset there. So just click on the end of there and go straight up to the other one. Straight up. Yep. Okay. Click there. Now, this might not be in the right location. And I think we could tell if we looked at your second floor. So let's do that. Okay, so that's the wall that we need to be up against on the second floor. So let's, well, you see, the thing is we don't really have a second floor wall up there yet. So I don't really know where that roof should go. So at this point, let's click on the last magenta line that you put in. Hit escape, click on it, and tell it that it does not define a slope. And we'll hit the green check mark. And we'll say okay to that. So now let's take a look at what you just did in 3D. All right, so you can see it's a little bit low. So let's click on that roof and we're going to tell it that the base level is, you've selected it. Now go over into the properties and click on the first floor where it says first floor. And let's see what our options are there. Okay, so we're looking for the top of the first floor fascia, right? Top of first floor fascia. Yep, okay. Click on that and apply it, and it's gonna raise it up. But I think I told you the wrong location for that. So let's have a section through your garage, and we'll take a look at that. So if you go to the first floor, we can see if there's a section through the garage or not. And it doesn't look like there is. So if you, let's put one in. Let's put a section in there. It's through the garage. Okay, that's good. Make sure it's straight. And then let's go to that view. All right, we can see it over there on the left. So let's zoom in at the roof, at the very left extreme of the roof. Let's zoom in real close to that. All right, now let's click on the level that it's attached to.
Now,
The level. The level that the roof is attached to, that one. Let's click on that. And we're going to move it up 8 inches. So just, you've highlighted it, hit move, and then click anywhere on the screen. It doesn't matter where. Move your mouse straight up. After you've clicked straight up, and
8 inches.
I'm not comfortable with this. Let's hit escape, and start again. Yep. Move, click anywhere on the screen and move your mouse straight up. After you've clicked once, move your mouse straight up. There, very good. Now you can type 8 inches. Okay, now that's much better. Okay, so let's change it to fine resolution, and always use the fine resolution. That's down at the bottom left, the next one over. That way we can see all of the components in your wall. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, yep. Now go to the 3D view. And we're going to put in your fascia blade. So that's the architecture tab, and then the drop down for the roof. I would actually change this to the resolution. We don't need fine resolution here. This is going to slow you down because it's in color. So we just want hidden lines. So go back and change it to hidden lines. So as we try to move around, it'll be faster now.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to do the fascia board. So we'll click on that. And we're going to edit the type. And we're going to duplicate it. And we're going to name it 1x8. Okay. And then where it says fascia flat 1x12, click on that. Do the drop down. We're going to change it to 1x8. Yep.
Then okay.
That looks good. We'll say okay to that. And now over in the properties box, the horizontal profile is going to be minus 1.5 inches. That's the vertical. One below it is the horizontal. So that's going to be minus 1.5 inches.
I click apply.
All right, yep. Now zoom in on the garage roof, real close. You want to make sure you pick the bottom line of that roof. Yep, that's it. When you see it highlighted, you can click on it. There's your fascia. Now let's go around the rest of the house. Make sure you pick the bottom line, not the top. And you got one more. Look at that. Okay, so you can see we do need to do a little bit more work, but we'll worry about getting in the fascia board now. Let's do the same thing. Go up and pick architecture and then the drop down of the roof and tell it you want to do the fascia board again.
Edit the type.
No, I think it's you've picked the 1x8, so that's good, but you want to change the horizontal profile again.
To
Minus 1.5 inches.
and then apply.
Yep. And now we're going to go zoom around the house and make sure you pick the bottom line all the way around the house.
I think I'm done.
I do too. Looks great. All right. So now we have our soffit, our roof, and we have to do the overhang, or we have our fascia. We still haven't done our soffit. Does anybody else need help before we move on to putting in the soffit? Okay, I'll take it back and share my screen. And this is my, now remember I deleted my roof. So I have to go back and put that in real quick. So this will be a quick exercise in, oh, wait a second, what's this? What is this? All right, so I still have my soffit in there from previously. I didn't delete it. So my soffit is still in there. So I still have my soffit. But I want to do a little exercise here on the stacked wall. And this will help you for your midterm. No, I'll put the roof in first. But then this stacked wall is not correct. So I need to fix that stacked wall. But I think it's better for me to put the roof in first. Okay, so architecture, roof, the right materials, I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to make my roof have a 1 foot overhang. And now I'm simply going to draw, this is the edge of my wall. So I'm going to come across and just follow around the edge of the wall all the way around the house. All right, so the question is now, maybe I want that to be a gable, so I'm going to say that it does not define the slope, okay? And then I'll say, okay. Let's look at it in 3D real quick just to see what I did. We'll spin it around. Now to spin this around, I see a lot of you using this view cube, which is okay, but it's so much quicker to hold the shift key down, push the mouse wheel straight down, and I can spin it around by just moving the mouse around. So that might be a better way to do it, for you to spin the house around. You can do it with the view cube, but it's much more accurate to hold the shift key down, push the mouse wheel straight down, and then move the mouse, and it rotates this around. Okay, so
Oh, one sec. Could you repeat what you just said about rotating the mouse?
I want to spin this around. So I hold the shift key down. I keep the shift key on the keyboard held down. I take the mouse wheel. I don't scroll with it. I push the mouse wheel straight down. And that allows, as I move my mouse, I have much more control of how I want that to spin around.
Got it. Thank you. And
I generally will click on an object.
I have this question for two classes, and I'm holding it.
So yeah, here we go. See, now it's spinning it around the house on the object that I have selected. Sometimes what'll happen is if I say I want to rotate it around, I hold the shift key down and I push the mouse wheel down. And sometimes it's too, now this one isn't bad, but sometimes it spins it around based upon some point out here, which is really, really weird. So, see how, no, it's not a good example either. All right, but anyway, generally, if I click on an object, then that's the center of my rotation. And that makes it work better for me generally. So if you find you're trying to spin the house around and it's like spinning way out here like that, then just go in and just pick an object. And then that's the center of rotation as you're moving your house around. Okay, so I'll give that a try. But anyway, now I have a gable. I'm going to go in and I'm going to put my fascia board in real quick, just because I want to change the assembly of this wall. It's not correct. So, all right, let's do that real quick. Architecture, roof, fascia. What is my fascia? It is the 1x12, which is not what I want. I want it to be the 1x8, and I want it to be minus 1.5 inches. So now I'll go around and pick the bottom line. Now this is a gable end, but if it's still put in, I still want to have a fascia board there. Okay. Now I'm just spinning it around with the mouse wheel. And I'm going to put one in here and here. And here, all the way around. You guys are already experts at this, but I just want to do it. Again. Spin it around, holding the shift key down and pushing the mouse wheel down at the same time. Gives me the opportunity. Now it looks like I got it all. Okay. Now this I'm going to have to clean up a little bit. If I click on this, I have a little grip up here. See this little grip? I can actually pull it back. And I didn't pull it back enough, so I'll click on it again. Not quite sure where that grip is for this. This is the grip for that. Let's see what happens if I just pull this down. Yeah, so I cleaned that edge up, and now I have to clean this edge up. I think this will do it. Nope, that's not it. This one is it. I'll pull it back this way. Let's see what happens. See how it's spinning around? Weird. So I'm going to click on this guy, and hopefully it'll spin around that. Nope, see, it's a little bit. Let's take a look here. Is that still good? It still sticks out a little bit, which is not the best. Now, I need to clean this up too, but that's not where I want to go with my demonstration. So we're looking at this section now. We'll look at this section. Now, this is part of the stacked wall tutorial. If you understand what I'm doing today, that will be very beneficial for you in the midterm. So if I look at this wall right now, it's just a basic wall, and I want a stacked wall. Okay, I want this to be a stacked wall because the siding on the house is not going to go all the way up here. It's going to stop. And so I'm going to just copy this guy over just to show you the difference between the two. Okay, I'm going to click on this guy, edit the type. I want it to be a stacked wall, so I'm going to change it to stacked wall. And it changed it to this, which I don't want it to be. So I'm going to duplicate this wall, and I'm going to call it an exterior second floor wall. Okay, the exterior second floor wall. And what I wanted, oh, well, look at this. I already have, this is what I wanted to do, is I wanted to have this and then some blocking here, not for the, this is a brick wall. Let's see. All right, so anyway, I'll edit the type. I don't want this, so I'm going to delete it. It gave me a different type of stacked wall, and I don't want the bond either. Okay, so I can delete that. But I want this wall to be, I think it's number 7. I don't remember, so let's take a look here. I think those are here. Let's just see. 7. Yeah, I think so. Yep. Okay. So that's what I want. I want my stacked wall to be an exterior wall. So it is. And I want these guys to line up. So I've got to move him over. Let's change that to 0 and see what happens. It looks like it. I'm going to change it to -1 inch. And this guy, I don't want brick stud 3. Let's try brick stud 4. Yep, okay. And change that to -1. And I'll go over everything that I just did. Okay, what I wanted was for this wall, the gypsum board on the inside to line up. this is the same. It's not. Yep. So if I change that to minus ½ inch, it still doesn't line up. So I'll change it to minus ½ inch is too much. So I'm going to change it to minus 3/8 because I want to line it up. And that's now the gypsum board lines up. That's really good. But this is my wood blocking, and it should really be the same thickness as this. So that's not good. And this wall looks like it has ½ inch gypsum board in it. So I have some mistakes here on this, and I'm going to fix it. What do I want to do? I want to change this wall, which is called brick stud 4, so that it has, I'm writing it down so I can remember. Okay. I want that to have 5/8 inch drywall, not ½ inch. Everything else is fine, but that's got to change. And then this wall, which is called 4-inch no brick, I'm going to write that down so I can remember it. I need this guy to be, this particular piece has to be 1 inch thick. So I'm going to say, okay to that. And now I'm going to go back to my basic walls, and I'm looking for brick stud 4. So brick stud 4 is right there. And I'm going to edit the type. And what did I say? I said the gypsum board is supposed to be 5/8 of an inch, not ½ an inch. So that's one piece of that wall that needed to be changed. So now I'm going to go back to that other wall, that other stud wall that I just made, which should be down here in the most recently used exterior house wall. Cancel that. That's not it. Okay. I thought that was it. So I'm going to click on this wall, and I'm looking for, it was a stacked wall, which I thought it was this one. Wall is shorter than the minimum height. Okay. Cancel them. All right, so I forgot what I called that stacked wall. So now I have a regular wall here. I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to change it to a stacked wall, which changes it to this wall, which is not what I wanted it to be. There we go. That's what I wanted it to be. Okay, so far, so it's a second floor wall. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. So that's my second floor wall. And I'm concerned about this. Now, I changed 4 no brick from having, I changed this guy from having ½ inch gypsum board to having 5/8. And so now that lines up. But this piece over here, I also want to change because that should be 1 inch thick. So I'm going to cancel that out. I'm going to cancel that out. I'm going to copy this again. And I'm gonna change it to 4-inch no brick. So let's see, that should be down here, is it or not? All right, no, I don't see it. So we'll come up to 4-inch no brick. And I'm gonna edit that type. And we're just looking at this, and remember I said this outside piece right here needs to be 1 inch thick. Edit the type and click on this one, and it's only 5/8, so I'm gonna make it 1 inch. And I'm gonna say okay to that. And okay to that. And now we wanna go back and look at that stacked wall that I had before, which was second floor wall. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this guy and change him to that stacked wall, which was second floor wall. So I'm looking for stacked walls. So we'll come down to the stacked walls. And it should be second floor wall. So let's see if we can find that one. There it is. Stacked wall, second floor wall. So there it is. I need to clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna, but I have the correct wall now. I'm gonna click on that, edit the type, and duplicate. I don't need to duplicate it, but I just want to make sure that these walls line up. So I'm going to take, it's minus 3/8 of an inch. Let's just make it 0 just to see what happens. Does it line up? Yep, it lines up there. Everything lines up. Okay. So now I have I do have 3 walls here. I have my basic wall, which is down here. That's my wall number 7, which is what I called it. On top of that, I put I called it 4 no brick, but it has the gypsum board and then the studs. It has my plywood, it has my rigid insulation, and then I have some wood blocking here. And now that'll make sense in a minute. And then above that, I have another wall, which I call brick stud 4, which just has the gypsum board, the studs, the plywood sheathing, and the insulation, and nothing else. And I'm going to say okay to that, and okay to that. And now I want to change this wall so that it's like this wall. And so easily I'm going to say match properties from this guy to this guy. And there we go. So now what's that telling me? All right, now this plywood should sit on top of this guy. So how much greater do I have to make this wall height so that the top of this matches that? So let's measure it. From here, let's measure it from here, right there. I want to measure from here. I want that to go all the way up to there. So that's 8 5/8 of an inch. So I need to change the height of this part of the stacked wall, edit the type, edit that. That should not, it should be 8 5/8. So 8 5/8 of an inch is the height that I want that piece to be. And it's 7 inches right now, so I'm going to add 1 5/8 of an inch to that. But in order for the wall height to stay the same, I need to take 1 5/8 away from this one. So I'm going to call that 8 5/8. But I have to subtract 1 5/8 from 7 1/2. So 7 1/2 is the same as 7 4/8, or it's the same as 6 12/8. Okay, now I can subtract 1 5/8, and that would give me 7/8, 5 7/8. So if I make this 5 7/8 inches, I haven't changed the overall height of that wall. So let's see what happens if I do that. Look at that. There's my stacked wall. I have it exactly how I want it to be. This wall has the siding on the outside. This wall has everything, but there's no siding. There's wood blocking here because I'm going to put what's called a freeze board and nail it to this. This is wood blocking. That wood blocking lines up exactly with the bottom of my plywood soffit. And then this should be at the top of the, let's see, is this level the top of the second floor wall? Yep, it's exactly what I want it to be. So I added some distance to this wall height, this little piece here. I had to subtract the same amount from here so that everything would still be exactly the same. So if you're adding some height to one portion of your stacked wall, you might have to subtract that same amount that you're adding to the other part. So now I have my stacked wall is correctly drawn. So now you have to do that exact same thing in your walls. So I would say that it's probably best for me to walk everybody through that one person at a time. So I'll stop sharing. And well, first of all, I'm going to save my drawing. Then I'm going to stop sharing and let somebody else share their screen. And we'll go through it step by step so that it makes sense for you.
I can share.
Okay. All right. So let's see. We just want to see one of your exterior walls. So let's take a look at any section that you have there already drawn. We'll just take a look at one of those sections and we'll look at your stacked wall. Okay, that's a good one. We'll start with that one. So let's click on that one and we're going to edit the type and we'll take a look. That wall might need some work to begin with. So let's hit the edit the structure button. And then let's preview it to see what's going on there. Okay, so there's definitely something wrong with the wall type number 4. It looks like you have two different wall framing in there. So wall type 4, I'm writing it down so we don't forget it. So let's say we have to go back in and edit wall type 4 first of all. We can't do it here. So we're going to just say okay to whatever is there. That's fine. And say okay to that. And let's go to a floor plan. First floor is fine. And now let's draw a new wall. So architecture tab. And then wall. And then we're going to actually draw wall type 4 just on the floor plan anywhere. It doesn't matter. So let's go find wall type 4. And then just draw it anywhere. We're just putting it in temporarily. So put it in anywhere you want to. That's good. We only need one. All right, now we're going to click on wall type 4 and we're going to edit it. Very good. So what do we have there? We've got brick on the outside, then we have air space, which is good. Then we have the rigid insulation, which is good. Then we have the plywood sheathing, which is good. Then we have the softwood lumber. But there's another row there, row 7. I think we can delete that one. So let's click on row 7 and just delete it. And then we have our gypsum wallboard. Now your gypsum wallboard is a 1/2 inch. Is that what you want it to be, or do you want it to be 5/8? 1/2 inch is fine, but if you want it, we'll just leave it at that for now. So we're going to say, okay. And we'll say, okay. And now we're going to click on the garage wall and take a look at what we did there. So let's click on your garage wall, edit the type. Yep, edit the structure. Now look at how that wall looks. It only has we changed the wall type 4 so that it has the structure in there, but not that second one. You had some other pieces in there as well. All right, so that's good. Now, this is your garage wall, so we need to do some more work here. Let's click on number 2, row number 2. And that should not look like this. So it should be just the brick and the concrete. No, the brick, yeah, the brick and the concrete is fine. So we're going to have to go out of this and we're going to edit wall type 2. But you may have wall type 2 in another part of your house. So let's click on that, not the house walls, but go over to the left, that wall that we put in there, just drew out. Let's click on that and let's change it to wall type 2. Now we're going to edit this wall, but I don't want to change this one because you may have this wall type in other parts of your house. So we're going to edit and we're going to duplicate it. And we'll just call it wall type 2, 2. Okay. And now we have a new wall and we can edit it. So now the only thing that I want there is the brick and the air and then the structure. Let's change the structure to concrete. So instead of plywood sheathing, row number 5, instead of plywood sheathing, let's just click on the material and we'll change it to concrete. Lightweight concrete is good. All right, and we're going to make it 7 inches thick. Instead of 3/4, we'll make it 7 inches thick. All right, now the rigid insulation we can delete. That's row number 3. Let's delete that. And let's zoom in real close at your preview there and just see what we have. So we have brick and an airspace and the lightweight concrete. Okay, let's say okay to that. And okay to that. And now let's click on your garage wall. And we're going to edit that type because that's the stacked wall. And we want to change one of the components of the stacked wall. Edit this. And instead of wall type 2, it's going to be wall type 2, 2. Look at that. That's what we want. All right. that's how that wall should be made at the garage. So we'll say okay to that. Okay to that. And now let's go back to that section that cuts through that wall. All right, let's zoom out all the way. Well, I just want to zoom in on that wall. So let's zoom back in on that wall that's highlighted. I want to see the whole thing, top to bottom. I want to see the whole wall. I want to see the top of the wall and the bottom of the wall at the same time. There we go. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the constraints. The base constraint is the bottom of the garage footing, which is perfect. Okay. And the top constraint is up to the top of the first floor wall. Okay, that's great. Now, what is the distance from the, I'm looking at the levels now. Which one is your grade level? Let's click on that grade level and change the color of it. So you just hover over the levels until it'll pop up the name. Go back to we just want to look at that wall, that garage wall that's in blue. We want to see the bottom and the top of that garage wall. Okay. So zoom, I want to zoom, but I want to see the top and the bottom at the same time. Okay, now you can click on your grade level and let's right click on it. And we'll change the graphics, override the graphics in the view, and we'll make it green. Nope. Override graphics in view. The next one down. Yeah, excellent. By element, and just change the color to green. So now when we look at it in this particular section, the level will be green. So we know where the grade is, okay? So we need to know the distance from the bottom of that footing, which is the bottom level there, all the way up to the grade. What is that distance? So we can go to the dimension and click the bottom. Okay, click there, that's good. And then click down at the level below it, all the way down below that, or the grade level, below the grade, all the way down to the bottom of the footing. What is that distance? 3'6". So your footing should be 3'6", okay? And then the next part of the stacked wall should be 8 inches. So now we're going to go back into your edit the stacked wall. So let's go back and click on your stacked wall again now. And we're going to edit it. And we're going to edit that. So the wall type 4 and wall type 2.2, the total distance there is 12 feet, 2 1/8 inches, okay? So we're gonna change the height of wall type 2.2 to just 8 inches. Which means we're taking away 1'4". So then we have to add 1'4" to the 11'2 1/2". So that would be 12'6 1/8" instead of 11 feet. So 12 feet, 6 1/8". We'll say okay to that. 12 foot 6 1/8 inches. And we'll say okay to that. And now let's take a look at that stacked wall that we have in your garage, and it should be right now. And it's not. So we can delete that dimension because it's in the way. All right, so let's dimension from the green level, which is your grade, all the way to the top of your first floor wall. That's not the top of the first floor wall, so let's keep until we hover over the levels until it says top of first floor wall, and that's not it either. So let's zoom in there closer, because we can, if we zoom in closer, we can probably find the level that's the top of the first floor wall. Hover over, and I don't think that's it. Then the next one is it. So let's click, nope, let's click on the other one, the one below it. And see what that is. I think that's it. So go ahead and click. Wait, you're still highlighting. Nah, you hit the wrong one. We were still highlighting the wrong one. So let's go back and click on. All right, so we'll dimension it again. We want to zoom in there real close and look for the level that says top of first floor wall. And that's not it. That's it. Click there. And then let's put a dimension in there. So 12 foot 0 5/8 is supposed to be the total height of those two parts of the wall. Okay. So let's edit that stacked wall again. And we're going to edit the structure. So the total of row number 1 and row number 2 should be 11 feet 12. It should be 12 feet 0 5/8. So we're going to subtract 8 inches from the 12 feet 0 5/8. And that means that row number 1 should be 11 feet 4 5/8. So let's try changing that to that elevation, or that height. 11 feet 4 5/8. No, you still got to make the 5/8. You still have it 1/8. So it should be 11 feet 4 5/8. Beautiful. Now let's say okay to that. And okay to that. So we took some distance out of the height of the wall and the top two walls. And what happened was the variable, which is your footing for the garage, had to make up the difference in what we took out. It automatically added to the footing. And that is exactly how we want your garage wall to look. Okay, so it looks good here. Let's take a look at the other walls. Go back to the first floor plan, and we'll see if we have a section that goes through the other walls. We don't. So we need a section that goes from, you can grab that section that's over on the left. No, grab the one on the left and drag it over to the garage so that it goes through the garage. Yeah, now let's go to that view, because we want to check to make sure that those other two walls change correctly as well. And then we'll know that we have our garage stacked wall is in there good. Again, you're in coarse resolution, so we want to go to fine resolution first of all. Very good. Yep, it looks perfect. I can't see that side because the levels are in the way. So quick way to get rid of that is just type VG, Visibility Graphics, VG. And we're going to go to annotation and turn off your levels. I think it's in annotation. It might not be. Yep, uncheck that. And we're not erasing it. We're just turning it off, just like you turn off layers in AutoCAD. And we just want to look at that other garage wall just to make sure that it's right, but we couldn't see it because the stuff was there. So let's zoom in on it there. And that looks good to me too. Yeah, okay. So now the garage wall is correct, except we need to change those, the top of that wall, it has to have two other pieces in it, okay? So let's see what we want to do here. All right, now we can turn the levels back on. So we go VG and we'll turn the levels back on and we'll fix that stacked wall so that the top two, we have two more parts of that stacked wall at the top. All right, so let's zoom in at the top of that garage wall. We just want to zoom in there real close. Now the level that I can see that's at the bottom, what's that called? What's that level called? Just move your mouse down and hover over it. That's the top of the wall, I believe. So move down to the level below that. Go, move your mouse down. There's another level down there. Yeah, what's that level? Now don't, yeah, what is that called? Top of first floor window. Okay, so from the top of the first floor window, we want to measure up to the top of the wall. What's that distance? You want to hit the level, not that level. That's, see, you're picking the stacked wall. Move your mouse to the left. There's a level over there to the left. That's the one we want to dimension to. A little bit higher. No, you're not that level, the level below it. The next one down, right there. What is, that's, you see, you're clicking on the wall. So move your mouse to the right. We don't want to select the wall. We want to select the level right there. What's that? There we go. Click there. And let's see what that dimension is. So the total height is 1 foot 2 5/8 inches. Okay. I'm writing it down. Those, we're going to put two different walls on top of this wall. And the total distance that needs to be is 1 foot 2 5/8 of an inch. Okay. So now we're going to zoom in over there again. We want to see what's the distance. Zoom in real close. What's the distance from that level to the bottom of your fascia board? So from there, from that level to the bottom of the fascia board is how much? Bottom of the fascia board. Go to the left and down a little bit. Now, and down. Go down. Move your mouse down. And now to the right just a little bit. Stop zooming out. Zoom in right there. I want to see that line right there. Zoom in. I can't tell. Zoom in closer. You got two. That's the bottom of the fascia board. Yep, click there on the bottom of the fascia board. And let's see what that dimension is. Okay. So that is 8.5 inches. Okay. So one part of that wall is going to be 8.5. And the other one is going to be what? What's the next dimension up? From the 8.5, top of the 8.5 to the top of the wall is how much? We could do the math, or we can measure it. It should be 6 1/8 inches, because I did the math. All right, we'll just use my math. Okay. So, all right. So now we're going to, let's edit your stacked wall again. So we'll click on that stacked wall. We're going to edit the type. Edit the structure. And we're going to put 2 more rows in. So just click insert, insert. All right. And so row number 1 is going to be 6 1/8 inches tall. Six and 1/8 inches. Okay. And row number 2 should be 8 1/2 inches tall. Okay. So right now we have 3 wall type 4 up there, and we want to change that. All right, but we don't have those new walls made yet, so we're going to have to make those walls, and we have to subtract from row number 3. We have to subtract that 1 foot 2 5/8. So because we just added 1 foot 2 5/8 to the height of this wall, and that'll make it too tall. So we're going to have to subtract that from row number 3. So 1 foot 2 5/8 means it's going to be 10 foot 2. So let's change row number 3 to 10 foot 2. Okay, we'll say okay to that for now. And I just want to double check my work because my math might not be correct. So let's go back and say okay to that, and we'll look at that stacked wall again. We haven't finished it yet, but we're close. And so we can delete those dimensions so we can see that. And let's zoom in on the top of that wall. Now that wall has 3, that wall really has 3 parts to it there. There's, I think we're okay. I can't tell because they're all the same wall type. All right, so what are we going to do now? Let me think for a second of that. Okay, we'll go back to we're going to edit this wall again, just because I want to see what that wall is named. I didn't pay attention to that. So we'll edit the type again. And we're going to edit that. Because I just want to see what it's called. It's called wall type 4. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. So wall, I'm writing it down so I don't forget it. We can exit out of this, so we can say okay to that. And okay to that. And let's go back to the floor plan. First floor plan is fine. Okay, you know that wall we put over there on the left there? Move your mouse over to that wall we put in on the left. Not a part of the house, but that other wall. Keep going to the left. Move your mouse to the left. Keep going, that one. Yeah, what's that one called? All right, let's change that to wall type 4. Don't have to edit the type. You can do it this way, but it's a little more difficult. Now, up there in the type, don't rename it. Don't, absolutely not. Cancel out of that. See where it says type at the top? It says type wall type 2.2. We can click on that and we can just change that to wall type 4. Okay, and say okay. Okay, now we're going to copy that twice. So copy that wall to the right 2 times. All right, now let's click on either one of those. We're going to edit the type and we're going to rename it and we're going to call it wall type 4A. All right, it's already in use, so close that down. We'll call it wall type 4.2. Okay, and we'll just say okay to that for right now. And we're going to change the other one to wall type 4.3. Now this one we can actually edit. So hover over this, the one in the middle. What's it called? Just want to double check that yeah, see, we didn't do it right. So, all right, we're going to edit this one. We have to duplicate it and then change the name of it. Duplicate it, we'll call it wall type 4.2 because we didn't actually make one. We just renamed it. That's good. And now we can edit the structure. And let's zoom in on it on the preview there. Let's zoom in on it. And we're going to change the brick to wood blocking. So let's just change that to softwood lumber. Very good. Now, instead of being 4 inches thick, we're going to make it 5 inches thick. And then row 3, we're going to delete. So click on 3 and delete it. So look at what we did there. We have wood blocking on the outside of that plywood or the rigid insulation. That's exactly how we want this to look. So we'll say okay to that. This is wall 4.2. Okay. Now click on the garage wall again, and we're going to edit that. Edit the structure. And row number 2 is going to become wall type 4.2. Okay, now let's zoom in on it and see how that looks. All right, it looks like everything lines up. Now we have to modify row number 1, and that is just going to have the rigid insulation. Okay, but we can't edit it here. We can change the name of it if you want to. 4. I will just say okay to that for now. Yeah, just say okay. Now, the row 1 on the left, what's that called? 4.3? Nope, that's 4.2. That's 4.3. That's the one we want to change. So we'll click on that, edit the type. Edit the structure. And we want to delete the brick and the airspace. So row 2 we can delete, and row 3 we can delete. Okay. And we'll say okay again to that. Now we'll click on the garage wall again, and we're going to edit that. Edit the type. Yep. And the top one should be 4.3. The second one should be 4.2. No, it looks like we're good. Let's zoom in on the top of that wall. All right. And then row number 3 got changed. It should be wall type 4, not wall type 4.3. That's the wall with the brick. Well, I don't see. Let's see what let's click on 4A. Let's see what that is. We might have to make this wall again. We might, oh, maybe we're good here. Yeah, let's see. Yep. No, that's an old one. That's a bad one. Okay, so we don't have that wall anymore. Somehow we when we were copying those other ones, and we messed up. So cancel out of this. Just cancel out of it completely. Cancel again. Now we should be in the first floor plan. Let's go look at those 3 walls. We have those 3 walls. What are those 3 walls called? What's the one what's that one called? We should be able to just hover over it and it'll tell us what the name of it is. All right, that's 4.3. That one is 4.3. And what's the next one? 4.2. All right, so the one on the right, we're going to have to fix that one. So we'll change that one and edit the type, and we'll call it 4.4. So we'll duplicate it and we'll call it 4.4. And this is the one that should have the brick on it. So we messed up a little bit. That was my fault. So edit this type. And we're going to have to add 2 more rows. So insert, insert. One is going to be the brick. So we'll change that to brick. Common. Very good. And we'll make that 4 inches thick. Then the next one, row 3, we have to make that air. And we'll make that 1 inch. All right, so what is row number 2's function? It's not structure, it's finish. So let's change that to finish. And row number 3 is air, I think. Let's see what happens when we try to change that. Do we have an air option? Let's scroll down a little farther and see. No, so we'll have to make it a, yeah, there we go. Okay, that's great. Now we'll say okay to that. And okay to that. And now let's click on one of the garage walls. We'll edit the type. Edit the structure And row number row number 3 should be 4.4. Wall type 4.4. Now let's zoom in at the top of the wall just to see what we have there. Yeah, everything looks good except for that very top one, row number 1. We need to line up the gypsum board. So click on the row number 1 offset, and let's change the offset to -4 inches. And see if that works. It might not. Nope, it wasn't enough. So let's change it to -5 and see what happens. That's beautiful. Okay, that's absolutely what we wanted. So what we did was we took the garage wall needed to have some other pieces on the very top of it. So that should be okay now. So let's hit okay, and then we'll go look at that section and see what happens. And if it looks good, we should save it because we did a lot of work. We don't want to lose it in case your computer crashes. Yeah, let's zoom in there real close and take a look. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So, yeah, we really should, when you put in your soffit, that's going to have to change. All right, so let's edit this one more time. I just want to edit that one more time. And edit the structure. And I want to add a 1/2 inch to wall type 4.2, which is row 2. So we're going to make that 9 inches instead of 8.5. No, it's 9 inches, not 9.5. And we're going to, row number 1, we have to subtract a 1/2 inch from. So 6 1/8 minus a 1/2. Let me do the math. 6 1/8 is the same as 5 9/8 minus 4/8. So it'd be 5 5/8 of an inch. So change that to 5 5/8 of an inch. And we'll say okay to that. And then we'll go back and take a look at what we just did. Yeah, zoom in on it. We took a 1/2 inch out of the top piece, and we added a 1/2 inch to the second piece, the one below it, which is what we want it to be. And I'm going to take the screen back just for a second, just to show you why we did that. So I want this piece to line up. Well, in your case, we lined it up with the bottom of that. Okay, that's fine. So we just wanted to, okay, that's probably okay. I'm gonna stop sharing and take yours back now. And let's take a look at it. And did you save it while we were, if you haven't, now's a good time to save it, Alpha. Yeah, you know what? I might want that to go back up another 1/2 inch. Because right now it's going to the bottom. So let's edit the type. Edit this. So we're going to add a 1/2 inch. So it'll be 9.5 inches. We're going to raise it up another 1/2 inch. And we're going to subtract a 1/2 inch from the one above. So you could make that 5 1/8 of an inch. And say okay. All right, we made a beautiful stacked wall here. And it really, really is correct in terms of the construction of that wall now. So you can see that we've added that up. And if I take it back for just a second, let me share my screen again real quickly. This is what you did. We took this wall, which is this one right here. We went from here all the way up to here so that the top of that wall is going to line up with the bottom of your, with the top of your plywood soffit. And then this last wall right here goes to the top of the wall from there. And it doesn't have this wood blocking on it. It only has the insulation, rigid insulation. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. So I'm going to save my drawing, and then I'm going to stop sharing, and let's go back and take a look at yours and see if you have any questions about what we just did, because there was a lot of stuff that we just did. Do you need me to explain it in a different way? Because that wall looks really good now. That's your garage wall. We have other walls that we want to fix too. But we got the garage wall right. So Alpha, did you have any questions about what we did, or does it kind of make sense? Alpha, your speaker's not turned on if you're answering me. You're muted.
It kind of makes sense for me. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the second floor. And we want to take a look at one of your exterior walls. So let's take a look at a section that cuts through one of those exterior walls. Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be the one I would pick. So let's go take a look at that now. Left or right, doesn't matter. But the outside wall is what we want to zoom in on and take a look at it. Yeah, so that looks like we need to do some work here too, I think, but I might be wrong. But let's click on that stacked wall and we'll go take a look at what it is. Edit the type, and we'll edit the structure and take a look at how that's built. Yeah, all right. So you can see that wall type 7 is not good. Now, let's see. Let's click on wall type 7 and see. That's nah. We'll just fix it. So we got wall type 7. We're going to cancel out of that.
We're gonna delete one.
Now we're not going to change anything yet. We'll just cancel out. All right, let's go back to the floor plan. And let's draw wall type 7. What is that other wall that's not that one, but the one above it? What is that number?
That's a start
That's
wall.
a stack wall. We don't want that one. All right, so we're going to draw a wall type 7. Let's put that on here somewhere. Architecture wall type 7. Okay. And now let's edit the type. And that row 6, we don't need that. So delete row 6. All right. Everything else looks good. We have our, okay, for now that looks great. So we'll say okay. We just had an extra component in there that we didn't need. We'll say okay to that. Now back to that section that we were just looking at. And I can't see the outside wall, so let's zoom out so we can see the outside wall.
One second.
Yeah, that looks much better. Okay, let's zoom down to the where the second floor level is. Down a little bit more. Might be okay. I can't tell. I think you are pretty good. Right. Let's zoom down a little farther to the first floor to see how that wall is. I can't see the first floor yet. So pan up just a little bit more. Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's pan up a little bit more. I can't see. I want to go show me the grade. I want to be able to see the grade there. Okay. Um okay, let's edit it again. One more time. Yeah, let's look at the bottom of that wall. So this is where it's kind of strange because the let's click on row 4. All right, so row 4 is okay, but we'll click on row 3. All right, so let's zoom out now. That really should be a brick wall, not a stud wall. So let's change it to wall type 4. Let's see what happens if we change it to wall type 4.
I think that's gonna be the 4.4.
Oh, all right, let's try 4.4 and see what happens.
No.
Yes, okay. So that looks good. So there's the stacked wall above that is wall type 6. That's going to need some work. And wall type 2 needs work. So wall type 6 is the second floor bond, and wall type 2 is the brick ledge. Okay, so we can exit out of this.
Click OK.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
All right, and in the floor plan, we'll go back to the first floor plan. And we're going to draw wall type 6 somewhere. And we're going to draw wall type 2. We just have to modify those two walls a little bit. But for everybody else, make sure that you add your name to the attendance today on Blackboard, and also that you print your work and load it up so that I can start reviewing it. We're going to actually have to start spending a lot more attention on what you have. So if you have sections, if you have a roof plan, if you have your floor plans, your basement plan, your first floor, your second floor, put those all on sheets, make sure they're all on sheets, and then print them as one PDF and upload it to Blackboard in the groups area where it says today's date PDF. And then I'll take a look at it and we'll try to do a private Zoom meeting between now and the next class, or I'll just mark it up and send it back to you, but you probably have questions. All right, so Alpha, let's click on one of those two walls that you just put in, either one. We're going to edit it. Edit the type, and we don't need row 5. Let's take that out. Get rid of row 5. And it looks good. Say okay to that. And okay to that. And then we're going to click on the other wall, which is wall type 2, and we'll edit that. Yep. All right, so let's zoom in on that. I need to. Okay, so the brick is good, the airspace is good, but then the only thing else we need, let's change row number 5 to concrete.
Concrete lightweight.
That's fine. And we'll make it 7 inches thick. And now let's delete the row number 3. We don't need that. And say okay. Now let's go back to that section again and take a look at it. Let's zoom in and take a look at that now. So that looks good. Let's pan down to the grade area. Take a look at what's down there. Yep, I think that looks good. I think we're in good shape here. The only thing is that we have to put those 2 pieces on the top of that stacked wall, which we haven't done yet. But that's the end of class. So save your work. If you want to do a private Zoom meeting, we'll go over that other 2 pieces.
Okay, I can do that on Monday.
All right. So did anybody else have a question before we call it a day?
Yes, Professor, you said you want us to send you a complete view of our work. So basically basement floor, first floor, second floor, and the roofs all in one PDF.
Yeah, and if you have any sections drawn, put them on a sheet so I can take a look at that. And you have 4 elevations now, so you can put those on a sheet now too. And print those all up as one PDF and upload it so that, because you know what your house is all about, but I don't without looking at all of the drawings. So the more you can show me what you're doing, the better it is for me to understand what's going on. You're the architect, you know what's happening, but I definitely don't.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, then I'm going to end the class, convert this meeting, and then I'll upload it to YouTube and put a link on the content area. So thanks, everybody. You did a good job today.